Kings of Dirt is presented to you by Broadlink. Serious bandwidth for serious business. Brother. Print, copy, scan, fax, label, and so much more. Driven by the all-new Ford Ranger. Ford, go further. And KTM, ready to race. Coming up on this week's Kings of Dirt, we take a look at the highlights of Round 4 of the National Off-Road Championship from Stella in the Northwest.
Stella is a small town in the northwest, and it consists of a lot of farmers. There's a lot of industry. There's a gold mine, Kalahari Gold, and there's also dairies, big dairies, and there's chicken farmers, milk farmers. There's a lot of schools in Stella, and we are part of the Texas of Africa, best cattle in the country. If you enter Stella, you find the Stella salt pan. They used to make salt in the old days. The people come with their ox wagons and come and make salt at Stella, buy salt at Stella, and then go back to Plessis and the other regions of the country in the Kalahari to feed their cattle salt.
At the halfway point of the season, and championship still far from being decided, it was crunch time for the competitors. From here on, it's all about winning.
It's a little bit chillier this morning, so it's going to be a little bit difficult opening the road. But I'm going to have some fun today. You know, I'm looking forward to it. The route looks like pretty much like Botswana style, so I think it's going to be good for me today.
I've never been here before. I'm really actually quite amped to ride. The terrain looks really good. The traction felt amazing yesterday, so really excited.
Today looks like it's going to be a nice day. This terrain looks pretty good. Hopefully not too dangerous, and I'm sure that my Mitas tyres are going to give my Fox Silkeline Force Fuels Roost KTM the grip that it needs to get up there.
If we look around, it's very flat, and I think it's going to be fast. So if I can get a top 5 overall, I'll be happy again and just win my class.
Confidence comes with when you're having fun on the bike, and I'm having so much fun on the bike, so I'm pretty confident. You know, we're going to take it as it comes. You know, if I win there today, it's going to be great, it's going to be a bonus, but I'm going to keep my head, stay on 2 wheels and have as much fun as I can.
The thing is, Ross has got like a 9-point gap, so it's Lawrence and myself really need to beat him so we can close the gap. We can't let him run away with it, so yeah, it's just pretty much go out there and hang cable.
With 2 wins out of 3, it was all about catching Ross Branch in his first full national competitive season. Kenny Gilbert and Lawrence Mahoney, not far behind on points, knew it was now or never. With a healthy 10-point lead in the overall championship, Ross Branch got proceedings underway on the 350-kilometer race, with Kenny Gilbert following 15 seconds later. With such dry conditions, once again, dust would be the contributing factor from the start line. Both KTM riders, Lawrence Mahoney and Lo Schmidt, were straight into it, and with the sun still low over the horizon, the first lap was sure to be a lot slower.
quite open here, the terrain, so you can kind of see the dust for quite a while. It's just when you get into their, when you close into their like probably 15 seconds, 20 seconds, you're obviously in their dust. So you just got to kind of hope you make some mistake, or yeah, you don't want to take too many risks.
The last race was my best, as you said, and I'm very happy with that. Knowing a few of the fast guys in the 450s fell out, so I was privileged enough to move up 2 positions, but my goal for the year was to get a top 5 overall, and obviously on the 250 it's very hard, but I need to push myself to get up there.
With a great 2013 season behind him, Tim Young has come back in 2014 and is holding on to 5th in the championship with a large pack breathing down his neck, including 250 class leader Tyron Miller. Jared Kutsia shrugged off an early crash which could have ended his entire season, but the kid just shrugged it off, but he would have to rejoin much further down the order.
I think it's definitely a lot of experience that comes into play at the Senior National. I don't think you can just pitch up here and expect the top 5. It's really, really hard work, and the more experience you have, the easier it is.
After a DNF in the last round, Dylan Ings was looking to get back on track for the season, and after only 30 kilometers, he'd already made up big ground. Lawrence Mahoney has been training with Bernard McGee throughout the season, and it shows, as the pace of the Yamaha rider has increased drastically as he lies in the top 10 of the championship.
There's 2 loops. The one loop is the red loop for the bikes in the beginning, and the blue loop for the quad racers. The red loop consists about sand, field, bush, a lot of stones in the hills, nice countryside. There's a lot of kudus and natural wild animals. Further on is it's spectacular to be on top of that. Stony hill. We call it Scorpion Hill because when you fell down you only pick up your bike, not the stones, because there's a lot of scorpions underneath it.
On the second lap, Ross Branch managed to keep the gap to just over 15 seconds ahead of Kenny Gilbert and Lawrence Mahoney, 2 mates battling it out for the championship.
Yeah, no, I just had a right mindset. I just went into this race wanting to ride smooth and do well. So I'm just going to keep it together and see where I end up.
Senior rider Bolly van Rooyen lay in 5th overall, but would later suffer from some bike troubles, whilst teammate and OR2 leader Tyron Miller was on a flyer and had passed another teammate, Lo Schmidt. Schmidt still held the lead in the OR3 category. Not far behind this, a great battle started to heat up between Sharon Moore and Dylan Ings. Ings just waiting to pounce on the Kawasaki. JC Nienaber has also had a great start to the season, and the man-hand Yamaha rider was on course for yet another great result. However, Bernard McGee was looking to change that, as he was now right on the tail of Nienaber.
I don't feel any pressure today. Obviously, I do put pressure on myself to perform. I'm not as fit as I should be, not even nearly. But I'm going to just go into it just hoping to do the best that I can, keep it safe, get to the finish line, not make any mistakes. Hopefully, if the guys make mistakes in the dust, just pick them off one by one and get to the end.
After a long layoff due to his injuries, Nick Pienaar was straight back on the pace, looking to hunt down riders such as Wade Blau, Estienne Steenkamp, and Hein van der Kerk Jr., who in his own right was having a great day.
Really fortunate to be where I am now. Really grateful for the help I've been getting from all the sponsors. You know, without them, progressing in the sport is impossible. And yeah, from being a junior to racing here in the Senior National, it's quite a big leap. You know, the distance is way bigger, and you know, the pace is really, really high.
Reminds me of the good old days, this, you know, but hell of a lot of dust. You just got to watch yourself, but it's a good, safe race, and I'm glad to be out here.
The main thing is obviously to put down a hot lap in the beginning and try to separate yourself from everybody else as far as you can, and not make any mistakes. You know, it's so easy, and the speed from everybody is so fast. If you overshoot one turn, then you know, you lose 4 positions. So I think the main focus for me today is not overshoot any turns and just ride the best I can.
Nearing the halfway point, riders held their positions and were looking forward to the compulsory 15-minute decontrol. Schmidt had made his way back past Tyron Miller after he had suffered a huge crash and losing his peak in the process.
The organisers have put on a good event. I mean, they've done the best with what they can do with the terrain. You know, it's very dry and dusty, flat out, but yeah, it's good racing. You know, it's nice because you can always see the guys in front of you. You know, you're riding along fence posts, so you're always chasing, which is really cool. You know, it's good fun.
No, it is at the moment. You know, obviously when the guys turn 38, they join into our class when we are about to leave the class. But listen, Bolly is a top runner and he's a good rider. And you know, if we want to catch him, we really have to go out of our game to try catch him. But the likes of Guy and me, we're having our good old battles. And you know, as long as we're out there enjoying our riding and having fun, and that's what it's all about.
It's been a good ride. You know, I mean, everything's gone well. Yeah, I'm happy.
With only 4 senior riders finishing, it was a great result for Maida Labuskakny in 4th place. The battles we have seen between Guy Henley and Wayne Farmer in the past did not come to fruition on this day, as Farmer was out due to a seized motor. This left Henley in 3rd place on the day, clean and clear.
I was quite surprised. I mean, the Oaks seem like they're up in their game. I mean, they're there, you know. I mean, I've got to keep watching for them. And yeah, it seems to be a very lucky class.
After a few mechanical issues at this round, Ollie van Rooyen was beaten for the first time this season, and by less than 5 minutes. A good day out for Peter Hall, as he took overall honours in the senior category. The Masters class had some new names in the top 5, with Leonard Evans finishing in 4th place, while Kevin Paltzer finished on the last step of the podium in 3rd and Jan Burning in 2nd. The day's Masters results went to Adrian Storm on the KTM with an emphatic 14-minute victory. Looking at the breakdown of the results in the bush-to-bush Stella 400, the senior class going to Peter Hall ahead of Van Rooyen and Henley. In the Masters, Storm takes his victory ahead of Burning and Peltzer. It was once again an amazing race in the ladies category, where Tay Perry showed her class with yet another win. With the overall ladies category consisting of both bikes and quads, it was Liesl Barnard who finished in 2nd place.
We're trying to get the ladies a lot more coverage, so we're really working hard to just go out there and try our best. I mean, we're fighting against the boys.
Chaudhry Monk did manage a great 3rd place, closely followed by Morena Fenter in 4th and Anais Steenkamp rounding off the top 5. Alistair Drennan unfortunately suffered a huge crash, breaking his collarbone, forcing him out of the high school class of this round, whilst Dion Oosthuizen finished in a credible 5th place. Nicholas Marburger had a seamless race and finished a great 4th place, just behind 3rd place finisher Silius Fari. But the main race in the category was a tight affair between Edouard Bester and Brendan Fari, with Fari once again claiming victory and extending his championship lead. Looking at the results and the breakdown of the categories, in the high school class, Brendan Fari takes another victory ahead of Bester and Fari. In the ladies, Perry dominating on the KTM ahead of Barnard. In KTM news this week, firstly going international, Jeffrey Hurlings makes it 10 wins on the 2014 season so far. And Brian Baragwanath, keeping it a little bit more local, wins out the Desert 1000 race and gets his seat for Dakar. At the halfway point of the race, there were only seconds between the top 3 riders as they were in a class of their own out front. Who would hold the level head with 3 laps remaining?
I tried to push a bit harder the first lap and made stupid mistakes. I nearly threw it away in the morning, so I've got to concentrate now in the second half of the race and get my head in the right place. The bike is unbelievable, you know, everything's going 100%.
Just as soon as you get into the dust, you can't go any faster, so you're pretty much just stuck in that position. But yeah, Ross is flying, so we're all got a good pace going.
Picked up wire on the last lap, so I lost a lot of time there. But yeah, we've got 3 laps to go, new loop. So the first lap, just see what it's like and try plan where and what to do to make time.
The peakless Tyron Miller was back into 4th place, with Dylan Ings also making up huge ground to now lay in 5th overall. It just didn't look like anyone was going to catch Ross Branch out front though, especially when he could see his first hat-trick of wins just around the corner.
I tried to pass Kenny on the rocky climb. Every lap I catch right up to him, but everyone's riding so good, and for me to close that big gap and try past him is a bit difficult.
The fight though was now on between Kenny Gilbert and Lawrence Mahoney, and Gilbert was starting to make some mistakes. Heartbreak once again for Nicholas Pinar as he had to retire with just a few kilometers to go. Once again, fueling problems.
Pace was unbelievable, you know, the last 3 laps was like a motocross race. There was no slowing down, there was no resting. Lawrence and Kenny were unbelievable. It's great to race against them and be up there with them.
It was tough from the beginning. We also riding so well, and a lot of dust this morning, so it's difficult to catch the guys.
Yeah, I just tried to push really hard to catch Ross, and I ended up crashing, and then I knew Lawrence was coming, so I kind of just started overriding after my crash, and then Lawrence caught me. It got really tight, and then he could see my lines, and I was just, I don't know, I was just all over the place, but it was my own fault.
The results showing once again Ross Branch goes 3 for 3 with another victory, this time extremely close, only 0.6 of a second. Lawrence Mahoney gets his second ahead of Gilbert and Miller.
Yeah, it's like you said, we have 2 races at Rodin. The first race was okay. We tried to make a comeback on the second one. We had a problem again. But all we can do is just give our best to the end of the season. And I mean, the season's never until the last race is done.
Well, confidence and a bit of nerves as well. That's something I'm not used to, being up at the front. I was hoping just to break the top 10, but 3rd overall is pretty good so far. Might drop down a little bit, but you know, I'm happy where I am as long as I can just bring it home and have a nice finish.
I'm expecting a lot of dust, and also now with sunrise, it's going to be so tough, the sun and then reflecting all the dust. So I think the first lap's going to be really tough, but after that we just got to push through and try and work up a few places.
It's our last long national of the season, real desert style racing, so we're happy to be here, and we've missed this sort of racing. We didn't do this one last year.
With 3 wins out of 3, who would be able to match the pace of Brian Baragwanath? Starting in first place is such a big advantage with regards to dust, but if there is grass, you are the man who has to cut it and navigate the dangers first. Brian Baragwanath was once again in complete control from the start, but had a flying Andre Duplessis and David Hollis chasing hard, as well as podium finisher from round 3, Justin Robert.
lot of racers, that's a different story. But without the farmers, we can't do the race. We need the rain, we need them to understand why we do it. They have to shift their cattle, they have to move things out of the way for us, and they need to have the time for us. We thank them all for their support, for the time they give us, allow us to ride on their farms.
Andre Parks was once again performing higher than everyone's expectations as he made his way through the field yet again. Bernie Bester started well but would unfortunately not finish the first lap. Retirement for Bester.
Also interesting is that we're going to through a mealie land. The people must know their skills and not to be a harvester but a racer.
With the top 5 starting to pull away from the field, the pace just kept on getting faster and faster.
All I can do is just give my best and see if I can win all the last races, and yeah, that's all we can do.
Yuri Meyer had suffered 2 DNFs in a row and needed a good result here. After the first lap, he had already made up 6 places. Hannah Simon was pushing hard to catch Justin Robert to take victory in the Q2 class, and after a DNF, he too was looking for maximum points, but he had a hard task in keeping Jaco Moller behind him for much longer. In the Masters class, George Michaelides would round off the top 5 in what seemed a tough race for the quads. In 4th place, aboard the Honda, was Peter Schenk, not having one of his best days. Rounding off the podium was Factory Racing's Tony DeSantos, yet another solid performance. With one of the biggest shocks of the season, Yuri Meyer Sr. was beaten to the line for the first time in many years, with George Twicher taking victory in an exciting round 4. Another solid performance saw Team Ride SA Ted Barbier take 5th place in the senior category, 25 minutes behind Peter Walter on the Yamaha. Another of the DeSantos family put in a solid performance. This time, it was Paul DeSantos who took 3rd in the seniors. With less than 10 minutes between teammates for victory, saw Stuart Freeman take the honours over Russell Ferreira on the day. A tight championship between the two after Ferreira's victory last time out. Looking at the results then in the Masters, Twicher takes the win for the first time this year over Meyer Sr. and DeSantos. Seniors, it was Freeman, Ferreira and another DeSantos.
For sure, it's a nice 450 track today. My gearing's a bit long, so we're going to change that now. Hopefully we can pick up a pace.
We're just going to keep on pushing and see where we can get it.
It was down to the final laps as Brian Baragwana still held the outright lead, but Yuri Meyer put in some blistering laps to find himself in 2nd place and not too far behind the leader. Jaco Moller was back to 3rd place and also held a great pace going into the final stages.
Yuri got in front of me and Andre is like right with me, so I'm just going to try and run with them for as long as I can and hopefully I'll get a good result at the end of the day.
It was unfortunately a slightly disappointing day for David Hollis as he dropped down the order to 5th place behind Andre Park, who seems to just get better and better every time he goes out.
I'm happy to be home for a change, but yeah, no, I rode hard as I can.
It was another smooth day, thankfully. This morning took a while to get into it, but otherwise not too bad. Thanks to my man Jacko, my #1 mechanic who's keeping my bike going this year. And yeah, without him I don't think we'd be here.
So it's 4 for 4 in the championship so far in 2014 for Brian Baragwana, taking another win ahead of Meyer, Moller, Park and Hollis. A strong top 5. Kings of Dirt is presented to you by Broadlink. Serious bandwidth for serious business. Brother, print, copy, scan, fax, label and so much more. Driven by the all-new Ford Ranger. Ford, go further. And KTM, ready to race.